Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome to yet another edition of Rob's Little Blue Book. And I almost said tried and true, but we've changed it, haven't we? So tonight we're doing you're going to see a couple things tonight you haven't seen before on stream. So we're doing two Canadian classics. They're both from Calgary. We're going to do the Bloody Caesar cocktail, which is a personal favorite of mine. And we are also going to be doing crispy ginger beef, which is a Chinese Canadian classic out of Calgary as well. But one thing you probably never seen me do before is follow a recipe, and I've never made this before. So since this recipe was hunted down and recreated from the original, we are going to stick with what they did because, well, I mean, it's their recipe, right? So we're going to try it out, see how it goes. It's a pretty straightforward stir fry. It's got a couple of interesting things here. And we'll talk about that as we go. So the first thing I want to do is, I think the Bloody Caesar cocktail will do first. So the Bloody Caesar was invented in the same year I was born, actually, 1969, by a restaurant manager named Walter something. I forget. Walter something, of the Calgary Inn. And he was tasked with coming up with a signature cocktail for the inn. He was Italian. And after research and whatever, he came up with the Bloody Caesar. He said it was inspired by spaghetti alla vongole. Don't know if I have that pronounced right. Which is basically spaghetti with tomato and clams. So tomato and clams in your pasta dish, tomato and clams in your drink. I guess it made sense to him, and it made sense to a lot of other people because it became a classic, right? So a lot of people think the name Bloody Caesar. Why is it called a Bloody Caesar? Is it to distinguish it from a Bloody Mary? And actually, no. That makes the most sense, but it's really not. Apparently, the drink got its name. Yeah, that's it. Walter Chell. The drink got its name after one of his British patrons simply said, "Walter, that's a damn good Bloody Caesar." But the drink up until then was called a Caesar, and after this patron said it was a damn good Bloody Caesar, they adopted the name Bloody Caesar. So, just checking my camera. Let's make sure. Let's get this going because I haven't had a Caesar in a long time, so I'm looking forward to making it. So here's the other thing too. The original Bloody Mary drink was made with gin, not vodka, and I am not a huge fan of vodka. So we're going to put a little twist on this drink. I'm going to use gin, which is what I use for my Bloody Marys as well. And if you haven't ever tried a gin Bloody Mary or gin Bloody Caesar, I highly recommend it. To me, it's a much better drink. That's just me. If you actually like the taste of vodka, by all means, make it with vodka. But I'm using gin tonight because I just feel like it. And I actually don't even keep vodka on the bar because we never drink it. So, okay, anyway, 2 ounces of gin. Now, normally I would use Mott's Clamato. Do I want to switch cams here to the drink cam? Yeah, there we go. Normally I would use Mott's Clamato. I'm trying this out. Mainly because I was at Farm Boy earlier today, and they don't have Mott's Clamato there. They do have, however, an artisanal. Of course, everything at Farm Boy is artisanal. They had an artisanal Caesar mix. It came in a couple of varieties. This one is the mild, and they also have like a spicy version, which I didn't get because I don't need somebody in a grocery store telling how spicy to make my drinks. I can do that myself. So this is basically just, it's just Clamato juice, but in a fancy bottle. So we're going to try it out. So I want to go with 4 ounces of this. And 2 dashes of hot sauce. I use Tabasco. This is one of the only places I actually use Tabasco is in a Caesar. It's a great hot sauce, but I have other good ones too. A couple dashes of Worcester. I'm a little heavy-handed with the Worcester. I like it. This is optional. Oh yeah, lime juice. Put in, I don't know, I got like half an ounce of lime juice here. Horseradish is optional. It makes your drink obviously a little bit spicier, and I actually quite like it, so a little horseradish is going to go in there. And of course, you want a good pinch of salt in your Caesar, and a hefty pinch of pepper. And finally, we're going to garnish it in just a sec. Do you want to talk a little bit about celery? Why do I want to talk about celery? That's bizarre. It's just a garnish. But here's one thing you're probably not doing. Hey, Darcy. Welcome. We're doing the Caesar, and you're just in time for tip of the week. Here's something I know you're not doing. You're not peeling your celery. And you're probably thinking, I'm crazy. Why the hell would you peel celery? Well, I'll tell you why. Because this skin here is quite bitter. And you probably never even thought about it. But if you want to prove it to yourself, peel a bunch of celery, make a little salad with these disgusting little ends, and see how much you like it. You won't like it at all. It's not nice stuff. So it seems like an extra step, but I highly recommend peeling your celery. It tastes better. It changes the nature of celery entirely. You can also garnish this drink with nobody ever thinks of it. You can also garnish this with a cucumber spear or whatever you want. Now, the other trick with Caesars is it is obviously not a clear drink, so you would think you would shake a Caesar. And you know what else we have to do? Hang on. Let's we are going to do rim the glass. I don't know if you guys see this off camera. Got a little plate of celery salt here. You know, everybody knows Caesars in a rimmed glass. But you don't want to shake a Caesar. Clamato juice gets all weird when you like blast the crap out of it with the ice. So all we're going to do, we do want to chill the drink, we do want to mix it. All we're going to do is we're going to just like roll this guy back and forth maybe 4 times, right? But you don't want to shake a Caesar. I feel that's enough. No, I don't have my strainer. Oh, I do. Here it is. This thing has a name, by the way. I forget what it's called. But there you go, guys. This is a Bloody Caesar. I have not had one of these in a long time. By the way, and I kind of not mispoured it. I don't like Caesars over ice. This glass is too big for this drink. This top of the drink here is called the wash line, where the drink comes up to in the glass, and it's important, if you're a bartender, I guess, to match the glass with the wash line. So forgive me for that, but I've never used this glass for a Caesar before. Anyway, cheers, guys. Yeah, that's really good. Tastes like a Caesar. So, I guess the big question is Walter any better than Mott's Clamato? And I'm going to have to say yes, actually. I would use this stuff again. It's a little richer in flavor than Mott's Clamato. It's not nearly as watery as Mott's Clamato. So, if you see this, if you're at Farm Boy, you see it in another grocery store, and you make a lot of Caesars, or even one Caesar, try it out. Okay. And also, I've become a big fan of this Mexican lager. I'm thirsty as hell. So we're going to talk about the cool thing. So the good news is, I got a food cam. It's right here. Well, this is it. So this is the new food cam, and you're probably wondering why you're looking at it instead of looking at the food through it. And the reason is, well, I did get a really good deal on the camera. I have to order another capture card for the computer. So you can't just you can't go from that camera straight into your computer. Turns out you need a special adapter, which I don't have yet. So hopefully next week we'll have that. But that's my cool thing for the week. I'm also going to use that camera to start creating YouTube specific content. So, I mean, all the recorded streams are there, but I might take some of the previous, like the ones that are the most popular, and recreate them as tutorials, basically. So, anyway, tonight we're doing the crispy beef, and I haven't done a ton of prep for it, so we're going to do some of the prep together. I want to show you a couple other things and techniques. So, let's get the, let's do the batter first. So, actually, before we do that, let's cut the meat first. Okay, so we are using. Now, I wouldn't use strip loin. You can get away with flank steak for this. Don't spend a lot of money on strip loin for this recipe, but I happen to have a bunch of these in the freezer because I buy entire strip loins and butcher them myself or trim them myself. So this doesn't cost me any more than a flank steak from the grocery store would. But if you're buying it, don't spend the extra money for a strip loin. It's unnecessary. Now, normally I would leave this. I've already trimmed this a little bit when I do the whole trim. And if I was going to fry this up in the pan, I would leave the fat on. However, we don't really want that tonight. I'm going to take most of it off because we are going to slice this up and we're going to batter it and deep fry it. And this just, it won't work very well if we have a huge fat cap on it. So I'm just going to just trim it a little bit here so it's nice and tender all the way through. All right, so there we go. If you have a problem cutting steak thinly, you can do the trick of putting it in the freezer for 20 minutes. I don't have that problem, so I'm just going to cut it up here. Also, if you are having a problem cutting steak thinly when it's at room temperature, it might be because your knives need to be looked at in terms of sharpness. Sharp knife, two things about knives. Sharp knife is a safe knife. That's the cliche, I guess. I mean, it makes sense. And then the other one is, which we haven't talked about in a while, and I wanted to bring up because I dropped this earlier. Falling knife has no handle. So if you knock your knife off the counter, just step away. Pray that the point doesn't hit the tile first, but don't try and catch your knife. It's not worth it. Especially one like mine, where it's very, very sharp. And I got a little bit of silver skin here, which I'm going to take out. And there we go. So there's our beef ready to go. Now we're going to do the batter, which we're doing here. So, and again, I'm actually doing a recipe. This is actually kind of cool. Starts with an egg. So that goes in. 1 cup of water. And you can tell right away that this is a restaurant recipe because I'm looking here and there's a cup and a quarter of cornstarch. I probably should have looked at this recipe before I decided to make the whole thing. Because I'm making enough batter for like 5 pounds of steak. I'm going to have to find something else to batter up in the next few days. 3 tablespoons of flour, which I pre-measured from earlier. And some amount of white pepper. So this is white pepper. It calls for half a tablespoon. I don't see any reason not to do that. So, any questions so far? This is our batter. This is probably going to be a pretty thin batter, I think. Let's see how this mixes up. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a very thin batter. This is similar to the batter that I would use for, like the consistency for like the fish tacos batter. It's actually pretty thin. Okay, so what we need to do is toss the meat in the batter and fry it up in the deep fryer. Now you don't need to do this in a deep fryer. I'm going to use a deep fryer because it's easy for me. But you could do this in just a pan of oil. You don't need a lot. So let's get all that in there. I'm probably not going to do all of this at once. So this is going to be interesting. How do I do this in like a couple of... Can you guys see back to the deep fryer? Or maybe go to the other cam here? Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, in terms of cooking time, I have no idea. That should cook in like 2 minutes. It says cook till it's crispy, so I'll just have a look at it in a second here. It looks cool. So this batter's like, it's almost the consistency of tempura. I'll show you guys in a sec. So find something to put it on. Okay, I hope you guys can hear me. I deep fries out. So let me switch back here. This is what we're looking at. And again, you don't want to fry this till it's dark and crispy. I killed the deep fryer? Oh yeah, there's lots of, see, it's peeling off, so you gotta be careful there. You don't want to fry this until it's dark and crispy. Just until it's crisp, because it'll darken up in the sauce. So I think that was about the right amount of time. I think these next ones are going to go in just a little bit longer, but it's looking pretty good. The recipe had no idea of, no indication of cooking time, so I'm kind of winging this part. But this is very much like a tempura batter. That beeping is my rice. Alright, and I'm going to set the timer here because I want to get an idea of, like, how long do I want that in there? I'm guessing 99 seconds. We'll see. Any questions? It looks really good. It also cooks very much like tempura. Like tempura will float up. Well, a lot of deep fried foods will float to the top of the fryer when they're done. Pretty much what this is doing. But I'm going to let it go the full 99 seconds and see where we're at, just for consistency. But guys, this is not a complicated recipe, so it's fantastic for a weeknight. Like, one of the reasons I left most of the prep for the stream is it would go so fast otherwise. Now, if I wanted this even crispier, and maybe we can try that, one of the tricks with Asian deep fried food is they'll lift it out of the Japanese karaage chicken is like this. The way they get it crispy is they fry it multiple times. They'll take it out, let it sit in the air for a second, and then put it back. So let's see what the second batch is. Okay, so right away I like the second batch better. It has a better crust on it. It's definitely crispier. So I think what we're going to do is go and just drop these guys back in for a second. And see if my Asian frying technique holds up. I'm just going to put these back for like probably 45 seconds. As I said, this would probably be a lot easier to do probably in a shallow pan for you guys. You'll be able to keep an eye on it a little better. The blog where I found this recipe was so poorly written. I couldn't really figure out what the person was actually even trying to get at. It was typical of a recipe blog where you had to suffer through the person's life story. There we go. So and you can see the double fry. See how crispy that is now? Much better. Okay, I'm happy with this. Let's get this last batch in. And having said there was too much batter, there's not a lot of batter left, so that was probably about right, actually. Gonna need another sheet pan. And so we had 99 seconds the first time. I think we're gonna go another 99, but I'm gonna let it sit for a bit. Okay, and we can talk about, we have about 84 seconds to talk about some of the other ingredients. The other ingredients are really straightforward. We're going to julienne a carrot, and I'll show you guys how to do that on a mandolin if you don't have one. They're a handy thing to have. We're going to throw some peppers in, probably a couple of peppers, a lot of garlic, and we are going to put a lot of ginger in too. So, this is the namesake ingredient. We got a little sugar here because it's a sweet and sour sauce. Some crushed red chilies for a little kick, and that's kind of it. It's a very straightforward recipe. Okay, it smells so good. The other thing you could do if you were using flank steak or a tri-tip or a outside round steak or whatever, is you can do the trick that we've done a couple of times where you velvet the meat, which means you just sprinkle it with a little baking soda and let it sit for about half an hour. That will make it this really bizarre red color, but it also tenderizes thin pieces of meat if you don't have strip loin. Alright, let's see where we're at here. Okay, and this is nice and crispy, kind of like where we're at here, so I'm just going to leave that alone. Yeah, this is like a tempura batter. It's really cool. Okay, turn that off. Wait. There we go. Okay, so we have our meat done, and this is just going to go aside because this will get tucked into our stir fry when we do that. And here for now. Let's prep the rest of our ingredients. So, any questions on frying of the meat? By the way, I'm using peanut oil in the fryer. I have pretty much switched over to peanut oil for all of my deep frying. It's a little more expensive. It's not a lot more, but it's a nice flavor. Peanut oil just gives it. You can't really taste the peanut, but it gives it that extra little flavor boost, which I quite like. I like it for fries. I like it with the fried chicken. I like it for chicken wings. And I'm sure I'll like it for this, so just in case you were curious. Peanut oil can be hard to find sometimes outside of Asian markets. Farm Boy has it. Costco doesn't have it. Any Asian market will have it in big tins. So there you go. Okay, first thing we're going to do is julienne a carrot. Now, you can julienne carrots by doing it old school with a knife, which I am not going to do because I hate doing it. Or you can use a mandolin. You guys probably have seen this before. There's a Japanese company called Ben Reiner that makes really good ones. I quite like this one, and it's just a set of blades and a slicer. So I have this slicer, which you can see here is making, oh, you can't see, now you can. Just like lovely little carrot strips. I have a wider, deeper slicer, which actually makes perfect French fries. So these are very handy things to have. They are extremely sharp though. So if you're not doing a really long carrot, be very careful as you get down towards the end. This actually has a, I'll show you guys in a sec. This has a guard for doing the last little bit. I'm not going to use it because we don't have too much carrot. But yeah, if you're doing potato, I always use this unless I happen to be doing a really long carrot. But for potatoes or whatnot, you just got little spikes in there, clamp it, you're good to go. Okay, so that's all julienned up. That's our carrots. I'm just gonna put those off to the side. Now it says also julienne the ginger. So normally ginger, you'd mix it up. But it says julienne it, so we're going to do that. And I have a feeling that's because ginger is, again, it's sort of one of the featured ingredients. So it's okay that it's like a little bit in your face. And again, the quantity for the ginger wasn't really given in the recipe other than it said a good chunk. So what do you guys think? Does that look like a good chunk of ginger to you guys? I feel like that's... This I'm making enough for 4. I feel like we could do a little bit more. What do you think? 4 more passes. There. I feel that's good. Okay. And I have no idea if all... This actually doesn't all go in together, so I need something to put this in. Alright, so ginger goes here. It's going to go in at the same time as the garlic. So general stir-fry process would be oil. You're going to soften your vegetables until they're crispy the way you want them. Then you make a little space. Your ginger, your garlic goes in. You continue to stir-fry. Add the sauce at that point, which we still have to make. And that's it. And then finally we'll put the beef in at the last second and coat it up. So let's see if I get all my carrots somewhere here. Again, this is a cool thing from a previous week. This little bench scraper. It's really handy for all kinds of things. I really like it. Now, peppers won't go through the... This pepper is not good. Okay. Peppers will not go through the mandolin. So we're going to have to do the old school here. One, oh, look at this guy. And so julienne is pretty thin. This is thinner than I would normally slice a pepper for this sort of thing, but again, just whack it in half. So any questions? Any questions on the prep so far? This is a very straightforward recipe. This also called for a red and a green pepper. I got this little package that didn't have a green pepper in it. Green peppers to me are very bitter. I don't like them a whole lot. I prefer red, yellow, or orange, which all basically taste the same. So the color is really only there for visual appeal, which is important. You know, you want your food to look good. All right. And there's our peppers. Now, what else do we have to prep here? We got our carrot, peppers, garlic I've got right here. We got a big whack of garlic. We got our chunk of ginger. Oh, it says the size of 2 thumbs. What do you think? What do you guys think? Is that like, might have been a little more. Anyway, we'll see. And whose thumbs? Like, I got big thumbs, but somebody else might not. Anyway, whatever. Obviously a very well thought out recipe in terms of quantity. Okay, so finally we're going to make the sauce. And the sauce I'm looking at it looks like it's very similar to, it actually looks very similar to the stir-fry sauce from the Little Blue Book already. But I'm going to follow I'm going to follow the measurements more or less exactly. So it's like a 1/4 cup plus 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And 2 tablespoons of white vinegar, which tells me this is like a really old Chinese Canadian recipe, because this calls for probably whatever vinegar they could lay their hands on. I don't know if I've ever cooked with this. This is we normally keep this around for cleaning. But anyway, white vinegar. We got and the Chinese cooking wine. We've talked about the cooking wine a million times, right? This is really salty. They put salt in it so people don't drink it because it does have alcohol in it. However, just be careful when you're using this to salt your dish at the end, because this stuff is really, it adds quite a sodium element. What else do we need? 1/2 cup of water. And yeah, so it's a 1/4 cup of sugar. So it's up to 1/2 cup, which seems ridiculous to me. So we're just going to stick with a 1/4 cup. And crushed chilies. I'm going to go with, it says 1/2 tablespoon, but these are very strong chilies. So I'm going to go with like 2 pinches. Yeah, so that's, I don't know what kind of crushed chilies they use there, but that's definitely, 1/2 tablespoon takes it right out of the realm of white people spicy into like authentic spicy. So, wow, that's good. And it's not too spicy. Okay, so I feel that we're good there. And put my soy sauce away. Okay. So we have all the, wow, this is going fast tonight. Those are sort of all the elements prepared. So let's take a little breather here and see if there's any questions on everything we've done so far. And I'm going to have a little more Caeser. Also, I'm allergic to the garnish, so I'm not going to drink it or eat it. Okay. I'm going to assume from the silence that there are no questions, and it is very straightforward, so I understand that there aren't questions. Okay, now we just got to put it together, and this just goes on the very straightforward stir-fry process. All stir-fries are exactly the same. You know, you get your oil hot, and I'm going to use, where's my peanut butter here? Yeah. So, heat up a little oil. Oh, here we go, here on. It was not aged. I mean, it's the Costco age, so it's probably like 25 to 30 days wet aged. Definitely not dry aged meat. And that would be totally overkill for this dish, I think. Hey, wait a minute. Don't tell me. Okay. Quick break. Glad that didn't happen halfway through everything. That would have been embarrassing. And problematic too. Okay. Yeah, you know, a crispy duck would be great. That's a good idea. So just while I'm waiting for the oil to heat up, can you guys see this? You can't see my rice cookers off to the side here. I always use a rice cooker because I'm really bad at stovetop rice, and the rice cooker makes it perfect every single time with the push of a button. So, but the only trick with rice cookers is once the rice is done, it flips to the keep warm setting, and when that happens, just open it up and fluff it, and your rice will be much nicer. And then you can leave it as long as you want. Okay, like, I kind of feel like we're good to go here. So I'm going to start with the, put back in the can. Start with the peppers and the carrots. You see, this guy did not get sliced up all the way through. So it would have been actually, from a visual point of view, it actually would have been nice to have a red pepper in here, or anything other than an orange one, which matches the carrots. Not the end of the world. And again, I'm not softening these. I do want them to stay pretty crispy. Okay, and I kind of feel like, I don't know what you are, get out. Alright, I want to grab one little pepper out of here and see where we're at. Hot. Not quite, not quite. Okay, that is done. In goes the ginger and the garlic. Again, recipes will say stir in the ginger and the garlic until it's fragrant. That's always 30 seconds, guys. Oh, it smells so good. So anytime you're using a sauce with cornstarch in it, the cornstarch will have already settled into the bottom of that bowl. So just make sure before it goes in that you give it a good stir. So again, when you're thickening something with cornstarch, this is going to have to come to a boil before it starts to thicken. And then we're going to let it thicken up, and then in the last second, we're going to stir in the beef, and then we're good to go. Now, the interesting thing about this recipe is, and I don't know whether the woman who wrote the article was, I don't know what she was talking about. However, she did say, so normally with a stir fry, you would kind of serve this right away. But she said there was value in letting this, she said there was actual value in letting this cook down and the flavors blend into the beef. So I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to make you guys sit around for an hour before I taste it. But if it's true, this would actually be a good recipe, like as a make-ahead kind of thing. You could do all of this prep. Let's switch back cameras for a second. You could do all of this prep, make this entire dish, and then just leave it on low on the stove for an hour and serve it whenever the hell you felt like it. Okay, let's go back to the cooking can. And we're starting to get to the consistency we want here. I'm going to let a little more of the water boil off here. But this should thicken up. I mean, there was like a cup, what was it, a cup and a quarter of cornstarch in this sauce. Should be like Jello. Okay, I kind of feel we're getting to where we want to be. I don't know if you guys can see the consistency of the sauce thickening up as we go here, but it's actually going quite nicely here. Alright, give this a second. So this does seem like a lot of sauce to me for this recipe, for a stir fry. Because we're already stir frying, like we're already doing the sauce. Normally in a stir fry, I've already done more of the sauce portion than I normally would have. Like this has been cooking for like 3 or 4 minutes, I think, longer than I would have expected. I think that's okay, but I don't want to stew the vegetables out of their crunch, you know what I mean? They still feel pretty crunchy and tender, so I'm not too worried. But I'm definitely boiling a lot of the sauce away. I don't think so. I think I'm just gonna suck it up and just boil it off. Like one of the advantages of cooking over high heat on a wok is that I can just blast the heat and boil the water away until I get the consistency I want. Because if I take some out and I reduce the consistency, I'm gonna be losing a little bit of flavor. Okay, so now I can tell right away. So now, right, it's just all of a sudden it's starting to glaze up, turn into like a syrup here, which is exactly what we want. Much happier now with the consistency. Yeah, that's where I want to be. Okay, so I'm going to fold in the beef and see where we're at. So I will say, I think next time I might make the beef chunks smaller. These are hefty slices. Now, I like a big slice. I like a big slice of beef. I have a feeling like it's always hard to tell because, you know, if you get this from a restaurant, they're not going to use giant hunks of beef because it's expensive. But when you make it at home, you're not. Oh, this looks great. You're not constrained by that. So make your beef chunks as like big as you want. I feel like this is all folded in. Okay, I'm gonna do a little taste test and we'll see. What do you guys think? I mean, it looks good. It smells amazing. But I can see that some of the beef pieces have started to shed their coating, which doesn't thrill me a whole lot. But let's try this out and see where we're at. So this recipe calls for serving it over rice, which is fine. I would be tempted, for me, I'm a big fan of serving this kind of dish over noodles. So I might consider that next time. A little bit of sauce. Okay. Okay, I want to turn this all the way down. Actually, I'll just turn it off for now. Okay, so let's give this a taste. Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, I'm gonna just dive straight into the beef and see. Okay. Wow. It's very tasty. It tastes great. Got a nice kick without being overwhelming. Vegetables are perfect. Very gingery. But, well, there's no but. It's just like, look, I'm losing my battered coating. So this person's vlog doesn't make any sense to me at all, because if I let this sit in the, if I just let it's just falling off. If I let this sit for an hour, I'm losing the coating entirely. So, I don't know. It tastes very, very good. I need to work on the coating. The coating is either I didn't get it crispy enough, although it was very crispy. Like, I would be tempted to actually use a tempura batter for this, because when you have tempura, tempura comes out nice and light and crunchy, and when you dip it in a sauce, it stays crunchy, at least for a little bit. Rice is good. It's really tasty, but it's just a very gingery stir fry, which isn't bad. But I'm not sure why this is like an iconic dish. I have a feeling it's because of the coating. Something went wrong in the batter, or not the batter, in the way I did it. I'll tell you, the taste is right up there. It tastes really, really good. So I'm really happy about that. I need to tweak the coating. I'm not sure what happened, because this is like, it's not crisp, and I wouldn't expect it to. Hey, Paul, how's it going? We're just doing a taste test. This is, well, Paul, you lived in Calgary. This is a dish from Calgary, crispy ginger beef. And while ours is definitely ginger beef and it tastes really good, it's not crispy. And I don't even think it's supposed to stay crispy. I'm not sure what this dish is trying to do. I'm just not sure. However, it's what it is. It's definitely worth making. I would say if you were going to try this at home, I almost wouldn't even bother doing the crispy beef part. Or, shit guys, I don't know. I never obviously ordered this in a restaurant. I've never seen it presented, so it tastes really good. I highly recommend it from a flavor point of view. I'm not quite sure what to do about the coating. I may, if I was going to do this again, I would probably go back and try that technique I was talking about they use for karaage chicken, where you fry a batch, take it out. Like when they do it, because they have huge deep fryers, they just lift it out and you just let it drain, hold it in the air for 60 seconds, and you can put it right back in the oil, and you repeat that a few times, and that gets your crust extra crispy. It bonded well enough, except for a couple of pieces. Like it's still on the beef, but I don't know. Anyway, if anybody has any suggestions, I was going to say leave it in the comments down below, but we don't really do that. Tell me about it in person, because I know all you guys. So I'm going to just have a couple more bites of this, and I'm going to stick around for a few questions and finish my Caesar. So if you have questions, now's the time. I would say the main takeaway from this is the stir-fry technique is one that is really worth using. Somebody, I think it was Rebecca, commented earlier that it didn't look like this was the first time I've done this. But that's mainly because I've made a million stir-fries and the technique is basically the same. But this is a good recipe. This is a good combination of flavors. but at its heart, it's kind of a beef stir fry. So until I nail the crispy part, and I guess we'll have to come back to that on another week, you know. I need to. I would like to. I can see where this dish is going. I don't know whether you just shouldn't turn it to sauce. I don't know whether you would top it with the beef, like the crispy beef, and let people like mix it into the sauce in the dish. Not quite sure. Something to think about. I will work on the crispy part of it, but definitely a flavor combination that's amazing and definitely worth doing. So, happy to answer any questions, and I'm going to sign off in a couple minutes, so just keep me posted. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it there. Again, oh no, let's talk real quick about next week. I'm on my phone. Any requests for next week? We did talk about doing duck at some point, so we could do that if I could find some ducks. I forget what else is on the list. We have been talking about doing fish, so I got to do fish at some point. Maybe leave it with me. I have a list of things to do, so I figure for the next 4 or 5 streams are pretty good. And hopefully by next week I'll have the new food cam ready to go. And yes, I got to get my ducks in a row. Oh, wow. All right. Well, there's a good point to sign off. I will get my ducks in a row. The duck one is fun because a lot of people don't know what to do with ducks. Yeah, we could do some of the Mediterranean salads too. But salads, like, is salad a technique? I feel like you just kind of assemble them. And I'm nothing against salads, but let me look into that too. We could also do souvlaki. We haven't done souvlaki yet. That's one of my personal favorites. So, okay, guys. Excuse me. I'm going to sign off. Thanks again for joining me. It's always a pleasure. And I'll see you next week.